Courtesy of In My Mother's Keeper, Uncut Live Productions.
Resident of Ward 8. I come from a Ward 8 where we took care of our own. They shouldn't be out here fighting this battle by themselves. And I feel like that's what's going on. So I just wanted to make an introduction, just so you know. I have you on speaker, and I know that you're out here campaigning. But if we can't get leaders in there that's going to care about a family, especially something like this, where the police are not being transparent, and the mayor's a mother herself, and the fact that Karon's mother hasn't even been called. I just really wanted to be able to make an introduction and see if you. I'm going to go live in a minute, and I want to make sure that DC knows that Mr. Hylton and Mr. Brown and Miss Hylton are out here fighting this battle alone, they feel. Perry Red up in Ward 4 is helping to orchestrate a communication between them and the legal team that they're going to assemble. But just so you'll know, the transparency is missing. The police up here, so much so that Mr. Brown was arrested last night on a assault on a police officer, and that they've been out here trying to protest to bring attention to the fact that no one will respond and things are getting out of control. So I just wanted to reach out to you because I just feel like we've got to get some support around this family, and because he's a resident of your ward, I wanted it on your radar.
Yes, please.
Okay, and so Mr. He can hear you. He's on speaker.
Okay.
Mr. Brown, Tahar Brown is his name, and then this is Fred Hill. I just wanted to give you a fair opportunity just to share whatever from the heart as a father, and just let him know what it is, Mr. Brown. Thanks, Mr. Hill.
Okay.
Hey, good evening, Mr. Hill. How are you?
Okay, Mr. Brown. Sorry for your loss, sir.
Don't be, brother. We're gonna make something out of it. We all love him. But my concerns are, simply what she was saying. We want some transparency, and like the number one thing the mother wants, especially, she definitely wants to speak with the mayor as well as the police chief. I think we're owed that. I think we're owed that now. We're out here, and we don't want the violence, man. We don't want it, but it's happening because no one is listening to nobody. And the thing is, they got to understand that, my son had friends and they're young. So they're grieving and they want justice as well, because what you don't understand is these youngins out here are being harassed every day out here, on the street. I mean, you can call and check with his grandmother. I mean, it's like he comes in and he's like, "Yo, pops, they took this from me. Yo, pops, they took that from me." And so they're definitely going in their pockets. So, people don't know, or for people want to say, well, why didn't he stop? He didn't stop because he didn't feel like being harassed or getting his money taken from him. So that's why he didn't stop.
I know it had to be more to it.
Yeah,
man.
man.
What they were putting out in the media.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
It's way more to it. So that's why he kept going. He was like, nah, man. And then in the end, find out he has nothing. No money, no nothing. Or, I don't know, just nothing.
Yeah. And then you haven't had a response from the mayor at all.
No response from the mayor at all. You know what I'm saying? I honestly, and all honestly, Trayon did, he reached out, but I wasn't ready for him at that particular time. So that's just in his defense. But he did ask. But I turned him down. I said no, and that's in his defense. That's coming from me, man to man. I don't want to make it seem like he didn't, but he did. But also like
any and everything that I can do at this point. Now that I'm speaking with you, then I will raise the awareness. The other thing is I've spoken to the chief before on issues like this, so I will be calling to ask why hasn't there been the response that he and I talked about in our interview before, and said that if that were the case ever in the future, give him a call. So I am going to give him a call.
Yeah, make sure you do. Make sure you do, Mr. Hill. Make sure you do. Give him a call.
That is unacceptable.
It is.
Just from what I've seen
It is.
He acknowledged earlier
Right.
that they did not follow the protocol.
Right.
And that's where the line should have been drawn right there.
Exactly.
And I see now it's still, you know, if they ignoring you and not responding, that goes against what he said in that interview to me. So I definitely want to ask him why is it still happening?
So can you ask him why haven't we received a police report from Officer Sutton? Why haven't we?
Hey, Mr. Hill, I'm going to go and let the call go live now, and I wanted to give you and Tahar an opportunity to speak first. But Tahar, I want to make sure that the viewing public knows what the demands are. And I was trying to protect the integrity of what the conversation was, but I'm going to go ahead and let it go live. So if you guys give me a minute, I want you to continue the conversation. Bear with me. Let me bring it our way. Okay, there we go. And let me just go here. Kenneth, you still got it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going. All right. Mr. Hill, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Hey, guys, this is In My Mother's Keeper. How you doing? If you know somebody, grab somebody and let them know we real out here in these streets. You guys have been hearing us or seeing us post about Mr. Karon Hylton. Mr. Karon Hylton is a young man up in Ward 4 that was on the moped, and it's been 9 days, and we've been asking for transparency as it relates to the going-ons. We've asked for the dash cam, and we've also asked for the police report or the police statement. We're also asking for Officer Sutton,
Right.
for him to come out and be held accountable. Tonight's broadcast is to bring to you live the father of Mr. Karon Hylton, because this is a DC problem. This is not a Ward 4 problem. And My Mother's Keeper is out here giving voice to the voiceless. We stood up here for 3 hours night before last with Mr. Brown and Miss Hylton, and they were peaceful, and they were ignored. They were not acknowledged, and it's not okay. They've lost their son, and the fact that the mayor, Chief Newsham, or Captain Porter up here at 4th District has repeatedly ignored their request to give them the respect that any parent losing a loved one would want. And I don't understand why, as a city, we're not stomping just as loud for another black life lost. There's negligent police behavior involved. On the telephone is Mr. Fred Hill. I do understand from Mr. Brown, who's Mr. Karon Hylton's father, that he was reached out to by Mr. White, who made an attempt, and it was just early on, and they were not ready to receive the communications. And so we're assuming that that's why nothing has transpired from the legislative standpoint, or from the council members' standpoint, from the officers, from the mayor's office. We don't know why this family is still out here by themselves trying to seek answers. And we were concerned as advocates. We were concerned for their well-being, because they're out here trying to get justice. And we keep seeing the news reports that are giving one-sided view. We want you to understand that these are not violent people. We stood out here for 3 hours in the cold, and they were ignored. It is not okay for Mr. Karon Hylton's life to just be disregarded and for there to be no transparency. Guys, this is an election season, and as a community, it is important that we talk about these issues and that we do not keep the same systemic racist mindsets. That's what we're calling it, because no one would want to have to be treated like this. I'm so honored and thank you that Mr. Tahar Brown would take time tonight. I want you to know that he was arrested last night for assault on a police officer in light of coming up here to try to address their concerns, along with the community members that loved his son. And instead of the police acknowledging him and Karon's mother and bringing them in to sit them down, things are getting out of control. We need your help. I'm asking you all to speak up. They should have gotten a phone call by now. Hey, Mr. Hill, you and Mr. Brown were speaking, and I wanted to make sure that the conversation went live, because it's important enough that we acknowledge as a city that we're with them. This is not a Ward 4 issue. Mr. Brown is a Ward 8 resident. So if you guys can go ahead and continue your conversation, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Mr. Brown, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Hill, like I was trying to explain to you, what the family wants is we want the transparency. That's what we really want. So I'm gonna go back to what the sister was saying about we would like to speak with the mayor, you know, because she's the head, and we would like to speak to the police. I mean, to Commander Newsom. We would like to speak to him also, because those are the two pieces, major pieces, in this whole situation. They can give us the answers that we're searching for. This morning when I was released, I did get a chance to speak to Captain Christian, and he shedded a little light. But the thing that we really want, we want the police report from Officer Sutton. We want to see exactly what he was thinking, what he was going through. Why did he do what he did? We also want there were 4 officers. He wasn't the only one. There was 3 other officers in there besides himself. We want to know the names of those officers, and we want to know what they know. We want their report as well. You know, it should be formal reports. Each officer should be given his report, and we need to see that. We need to know why they literally chased him down. We also need to know what are the policies, the clear policies of the chase. Is there a chase or is there not a chase? But from what I gathered from him, there's a no chase policy. So if that be the case, then what happened? I mean, or what do they call that? What are they calling he did right then? I mean, I don't know. I just want to hear from him again. The next thing, you know, I don't know. You know, I'm just everything that I'm talking about is hearsay. So, but and he can answer these questions. Like, I heard that vice squad moved. I mean, I don't know what the name of that vice squad is. We call it jump out squad. I don't know what the correct name is for it, but I heard that jump out squad was abolished at least 2 years ago. So if that be the case, why are they jumping out? Why are they doing the things that they do? So now I'm gonna say this. From what my son is telling me, or was telling me, is that the fact that, you know, he's always in their pockets. And this Officer Sutton, he's always in their pockets. He's checking their pockets. You know what I'm saying? He's taking their money off of them.
Yeah.
And if that be the case, then, you know, they were pretty much looking for a beer after work on Karon. That's how I'm looking at it. But hopefully that not be the case. You know, we're gonna give them. You're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. So if they just give us those reports, then I won't be thinking this way. I won't be thinking that they were just hassling my son or harassing my son, rather. So
yeah, I recently had a discussion with Chief Newsom, whereby he did tell me that there were supposed to be a much faster response from the other officers, from the investigating officers, when these situations come about, especially to the family. So when we finish our call, I'll be putting a call out to him to ask him why is this still not happening, because that interview that I had with him was just within weeks ago. And I definitely will be asking about that and the other things that you mentioned as well. The mayor should have responded by now. Why she hasn't is beyond me at this point, but I intend to put the question to the mayor as well.
If you'll stay with us, Mr. Hill, I just want to let our folks know that are tuning in. We're live in several venues right now, and I just want you guys to know that we're talking to the father. We're honored to talk to the father, Mr. Tahar Brown, who's the father of Karon Hylton, our young soldier who we lost his life last Friday. You're hearing the narrative in the media, but we thought it was important tonight for Mr. Brown to be able to tell his family's story and for you guys to get to know his son through his eyes. I want you also to jot down a couple of phone numbers. Those of you that haven't seen the post on our page, 4th District telephone number is 202 715-7400. The mayor's phone number, 202-727-2643. Guys, help us get justice for this family. This is not a Ward 4 issue. This is a DC issue. 151 days ago, approximately, we were marching for Mr. George Floyd and the negligent and brutality treatment from the police that were involved. This is the nation's capital. Black lives should matter. Our mayor painted on the street that Black lives matter. And if that's the case, I want to understand why the family of Mr. Karon Hylton has yet to receive a phone call to acknowledge their loss. Instead, they're being painted as if they are violent people. Mr. Tahar Brown was arrested yesterday. They've been coming up here every night since, protesting and asking for the report. They've been asking for the police report. There were 4 officers involved. They've been asking for the dash cam. They've been asking for the dignity that any parent would expect to have, acknowledge having lost a son at the hands of police involvement. This is the nation's capital. We're going out to vote. We have to vote up until Tuesday. We're talking about Donald Trump and getting him out when we've got a local problem. We cannot have racist-minded individuals in charge of our law enforcement. There are people that do not agree with the defund police, and regardless of what side of the aisle that you're on, you have to agree that we need police reform. This is Am I Mother's Keeper? You're always hearing us talk about mental health matters. Well, I want to know, what was the mental health of these officers that would allow them to come to work day in and day out and harass a human people and expect that they would not be held accountable?
Yes,
I want to know why it's okay, DC.
Yes,
See, we got to talk about this stuff. We're too divided as a city. And as long as we stay divided, we got families that are out here trying to address these issues by themselves, and they should not be. We got a mayor that does not give enough attention to the mental health of our families, especially east of the river. Mr. Tahar Brown is a resident of Ward 8. He has just lost his son at the hands of the police. And they are not being transparent. They are seemingly ignoring this family. We stood up here night before last for 3 hours in the cold trying to get answers peacefully for this family. And they were disrespected, ignored, and they were not acknowledged. We cannot have this father continue to be facing arrest from a racist-minded, racist-run police department because he's simply trying to get answers for his son. Wake up, DC. Come together. I come from a Ward 8 where we cared about our people. And if we don't speak up for our sons, for our young brothers, for our young fathers,
that's right,
then who will?
That's right.
Tell us, Mr. Brown. Tell us about your baby. Tell us who Tahar was, please.
This is what I'm going to say. And I'm a little old school, so
it's all good.
Karon was simply a ghetto hero around here in Brightwood. They love this youngin', and I'm gonna give you a couple examples. There was a girl, and someone was telling me that she was outside, she didn't have any clothes or nothing like that. My son actually went and bought the girl some clothes and gave her some clothes. So that's big of him. That's just one of the things, that he did. He also went up to Mr. Perry Red. He's an ANC commissioner. He saw a sign in his yard, and he actually walked up to him and said, "Man, that's what I want to do. I want to do that." So he was beginning to become himself. He was beginning to make steps toward being a real, responsible, independent man out here. We do things, but let me not get sidetracked. So what I want people to know about Karon Kenyatta Hylton Brown is this: he was a good person. He was a very, very good person. And if you can ask anybody over here in Brightwood about this, no one would say nothing bad about him. I got people coming up to me just saying, "Man, he gave me gifts." he was just the coolest dude I knew out here. So for the rest of the world, I really don't care what they feel about Karon. But I know in Brightwood, you go to Brightwood, hey, Karon is definitely that man in Brightwood. So I care less about what the rest of the world think about him. As long as these people in Brightwood give him that love right there, that makes me, I don't want to even let them down the ship. They're like, look, man, that's your son. You got to. You have no choice. He was a good person. So that makes me fight even harder, knowing that those people loved him so much.
Amen. Amen. If you're just joining us, we've got Mr. Fred Hill on the phone, councilman candidate for Ward 8. We've got Mr. Tahar Brown, who's the father of our beautiful soldier who we lost last Friday, Karon Hylton. He was up here in Ward 4. He's riding a moped. We can't get the dash cam. The family has been asking repeatedly for the reports from the officers. There were 4 in total. We understand that we have racist-minded, systemically understood people that are in charge of our police force that are allowing the non-transparent behaviors of these officers. And more importantly, we have an African-American mayor who has just recently become a mom, who has to know what it must feel like for this mother, Karon. I've had a chance to put my arms around Karon. She's a very beautiful and passionate young woman. She's lost her son, and all she wants is justice. All Mr. Brown wants is justice. Guys, it's an election season and everybody's got their eyes set on Mr. Trump. But what about our local families that are left to fight these issues alone? Hey, Mr. Hill, can you talk to us? We're trying to reach out to the other Karon Hyltons across the ward. As I hear Mr. Brown talk about the beautiful recollection of his son and that his heart was still intact. You know, so many people are disconnected right now, and they think our youth are not in touch with their emotions or not in touch with caring about the next man. And as I heard Mr. Brown talk about how beautiful a caring heart that Karon had in helping another fellow ward member, I'd like to hear from you as your messaging in terms of helping our youth, because we got to do something to get everybody connected. This family should not be up here fighting by themselves to get the police department and get the mayor to do what should be done. We're humans first.
Yes. Well, again, first I want to say how sorry I am to hear of the loss of Mr. Hill, and for the parents to have to go through this. And here again is one more example of why together we're stronger. Together we need to come before them and demand the answers that are not given to us right now. A few weeks back, I spoke with Chief Newsom, and he, said right before me that the issues that we presented at that time, if there was anything that was not done according to what he had stated would be done, to call him. Just recently, while I was listening to you all, said he and Mayor Bowser text messages and waiting to hear back from them. And I will keep you posted on what the response is, but definitely the mayor should have responded long before now. And the chief did acknowledge before that this kind of notification that the parents are asking for right now would be made available to them, and we need to find out who in the line of authority did not follow what he said would be done, and then that he said, if it didn't happen, the police called him. So I did.
Okay, I thank you for that clarity. And I want you to know, as I sit here up here on the side of District 4, speaking with Mr. Brown, it looks like a fortress out here.
Yeah.
And when we were up here the other night, there were no more than 20 people out there peacefully standing with Mr. Brown and Ms. Hylton trying to get answers. And I want you to know that we had probably over 150 officers on bicycle and standing out front as if there was a justification for that misuse and abuse of taxpayer funding.
Yes.
When all they had to do was to acknowledge that mother and father who were out here 3 hours peacefully. And so it was important that we went live, because we do not like that this family's up here fighting this by themselves. This is a DC issue. Black Lives Matter. And Miss Mayor, if Black Lives Matter, pick up the telephone and call Miss Hylton.
Yeah.
Call Mr. Brown. Acknowledge the loss of their sons.
Yeah.
We know you guys were wrong. Your actions are showing us
Yeah.
that you know you're wrong. If you're going to make laws, adhere to them.
Yeah.
If you don't have answers, be big enough to be human first.
Yes.
And say to this grieving family that you are sorry for their loss. Mental health matters, and ignoring people and giving them their God-given right that you understand and that they receive these reports and why they should have them is not okay. Guys, 202-715-7400 is the 4th District telephone number. Flood their phone lines. Let your friends know we need help. This is not a Ward 4 issue. This is a DC issue. Mr. Tahar Brown is a Ward 8 resident, and he's lost his son. 202-727-2643. That's the mayor's number. I want to thank my leadership, my fellow community partners, Mr. Perry Red, ANC up here in 4, who's assisting Mr. Brown and Miss Hylton with getting their legal team in place. But they should have not have had to go 9 days since the loss of their son to get answers. Guys, this is In My Mother's Keeper, and we're out here because we cannot let this family believe that they're by themselves.
No, I got to get out just to see.
Mr. Brown is going to go, but I thank you, sir. I understand. My heart is with you, and we're not going to stop this, okay?
Yeah.
God bless you,
I just
okay?
I got to make.
Whatever happened, I don't have the police report. She hasn't said anything from one mother to another mother. You know, what if that could have been your child? And she also has a child. So my thing with her is, okay, if you believe that that's right and everything is justified, please bring your child out there. Please bring your daughter, put her on a scooter, you know, have her hunted down basically until she's dead, you know. And if that justify her, then that's fine with me. But it still doesn't justify me or my child.
Right.
You know, Karon didn't deserve that. No child deserves that.
No child does.
We all have. I mean, we have kids. You understand? This is no.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, I don't know what to say at the moment.
I understand.
I mean, she hasn't reached out. That's my thing.
Yeah.
And it's not even a reach out. She's out here. They're out here. They're locking up the father, the friends, the family members.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Sutton and his goons, they're not. They haven't been arrested.
Exactly.
And that's my thing. How?
Exactly.
How?
Why?
Why and
Exactly.
why? And my thing with that is, I don't know if you guys have saw the dash cam video. During the dash cam video, you see the guys pointing each and every way that Karon went. Those people that were arrested last night, he came out here. The white shirt came out here and directly pointed them out. I don't know if he was mocking the video, and I mean, I'm hurt.
Yeah. Yes, you
I'm
are.
hurt.
Yes, you
How?
are. Yes, you are.
It's bad enough that you're out here. They killed my son. Then you're out here. You're mocking the video.
Yes.
You're pointing each and every person that got locked up.
Yes.
He pointed them out.
Yes. Yes.
Now, what if, as a mom, what if I would have pointed Bowser, your daughter, your daughter? You understand?
Yes.
How?
Yes.
That's the mockery of my child's death.
Yes, yes.
And you believe that's correct, and you believe it's right, Bowser? Really? As I said, please, and I'm asking you more. If you have nothing to say to me, and you have nothing to say, not even to if you have nothing to say, Bowser, please bring your daughter. I've been saying this from day one, and I will always tell you the same thing. I birthed my child. You bought your child, Bowser. And I'm not knocking anyone. Understand? That's a different love. And obviously it is, because you haven't said anything and you're condoling this. You basically are condoling it.
Guys,
Wow.
Guys, this is In My Mother's Keeper. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. We've been out here. We've stood out here in the cold with Karen. They've come back. She's a relentless mom. She's a mom that anybody would want to have. We're reaching out to the other mothers out there, of the Karon Hyltons out there that are out here. Black lives are supposed to matter, and they should
Supposed to matter.
This mother's heart is aching. She stood out here in the cold peacefully, but the only narrative they would have you to see are the negative narratives. And what is a family to do when they're continuously ignored? It's one thing to be wrong and to know that you're wrong, but to not humanly reach out to this family in spite of you trying to get your ducks in a row. We've got to stop this, guys. This town was upside down when we lost our dear George Floyd. Well, we've lost Karon Hylton in the nation's capital due to the negligence of the police department, and it's not okay. It's just not okay for us to go about life as usual. We're in voting season, and if we can't vote leaders in charge that's going to do something different for our families, then what would be the point of voting? We have got to stop with these cliques. These cliques are dangerous. And my mother's keeper is always telling you mental health matters. And again, I'm going to say it. That transcends for everyone. What was the mental health of these officers? To be out there harassing Karon Hylton and his friends, and to know that life was lost, and now to be coming out in the crowd and pointing out the father and the friends to put them under arrest and trying to hold them accountable for laws that they are not holding themselves accountable for. This is a grieving mother, and enough is enough, DC. Enough is enough.
And Mayor Bowser, again, if you condone this and you feel as though this is right, I'm asking you once again, please bring your daughter. We are all moms. You're condoling it, and it's fine. But please bring your daughter out here. Please have Sutton run her and chase her down, and then it'll be cool. We're good.
To do nothing, to say nothing, is just as bad as the officers that are guilty of doing this, of trying to cover it up. We saw a narrative that said that although folks want swift justice, it's going to take some time. Why? Why do we have to keep hearing this when we know what the reality is? The racist, systemic understandings that are at play in our justice system and in our policing has got to be called out. I come from a city and a time where we took care of one another, and this family should not be out here fighting this injustice by themselves. You should not be waiting to hear the story on the news. Mr. Perry Red of ANC 4 up here in Ward 4 is coordinating to help this family, but I'm telling you that this family is hurt. They can't even deal with the funeral arrangements, the GoFundMe understandings, the meeting with the legal. They are still stuck since last Friday, coming up here every night, standing out here. We stood out here with them for 3 hours in the cold, waiting for someone to acknowledge them. Captain Porter up here at 4th District did not. Lieutenant Bagshaw came out and mocked. No, you're fine.
I thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Guys, this is In My Mother's Keeper. Thank you, Karen. God bless you. I'll be out there with you in a minute. This is In My Mother's Keeper. It's real in these streets. These families are hurting, and it's time that we do something other than being on social media for the fun stuff. We need to use our power for good. 202-715-7400 is the number for the 4th District. Flood their phones. Ask them for justice for Karon Hylton and his family. The mayor's number is 202-727-2643. Flood that phone line. Let them know that justice needs to happen. These families are out here hurting. It is not okay to keep pushing things aside. We've lost too many black lives, and there are not the proper answers. Speak up. Join us. This is not just a Ward 4 issue. Karon's dad is a Ward 8 resident. There are many Karon Hyltons out there, and we have got to put our foot down and say enough is enough. They should not have pursued him on a moped, and more importantly, they should not be taking this long to give this family what they need, which is the respect of recognizing their loss. They have stood up here night after night. And In My Mother's Keeper is frustrated because how can we expect people to properly deal with the mental health and the matters and the depression of a COVID when we got families that are losing their loved ones, and we've got the mayor not acting, and we've got Chief Newsom not acting. And guys, it's like a fortress up here. The police are all over the place. They've locked the father up on last night, said he assaulted a police officer because he didn't want the son's friends to be batted out. They're pointing them out in the crowd, talking about lock this one up and lock that one up because they want them to go away. It is not okay. We need everybody's voice. And my mother's keeper is out here because I know that we have hearts out here in this crowd. We have got to be tired of hearing about our loved ones and our black families being lost. 151 days ago, Mr. George Floyd lost his life and our mayor painted Black Lives Matter on the street. Was it just for show or just for the media? I'm sick of these cliques in this town that keeps us so divided that a family would be out here by themselves fighting this. I appreciate it. My hat's off to ANC Perry Red up here in Ward 4 because he's in the background coordinating the legal effort. Our New Life Advocacy Council, Mr. Uncut Live and Kenneth Clark, Pastor Ann Coles and Kingdom Life Outreach. We are a handful of heart-committed advocates and community organizers out here because we've got a city that's so clicked up that a family that would lose their son's life to police negligence would be left to fight alone. Guys, please flood their phone lines. And my mother's keepers out here, and we're going to stay out here with them until they can get the answers that they deserve. You heard the mother mention the dash cam, but that's actually the body cam. They want the dash cam. They want the officer's report. There were 4 officers involved. And last night, Lieutenant Bagshaw, or night before last, told the mother that he's not sure that he even has an officer report. Now, how ridiculous is that? We know better than that. They have got to be held accountable for covering up the loss of black lives. Mental health matters, and it's time to start holding the people in office that have been elected to take care of these types of matters. It's time to start holding them accountable. Stop joining and being a part of and being proud to support cliques that will leave a black family out here fighting by themselves. We have lost too many black lives. Enough is enough. Where is my clergy community? I need to see the presence of such. I know it's being organized, but get out here. They've been out here 9 days. Perry Red ANC 4 is up here coordinating the effort, and so far I think I've heard only 2 council members have reached out. Get out here. It's voting season. This is the kind of stuff that we're supposed to be caring about. Talking about a Trump when you got a family out here by themselves, and my mother's keeper have brought them before you so you can hear from their mouths. Speak up, DC. Call 4th District. Captain Porter. Call him out. Justice for Karon Hylton. 20-year-old young man that we've just lost his life. He has a 3-month-old baby. The mom and the father has yet to be able to put the funeral, the GoFundMe, or anything together because they're still up here standing out front of this police station because they want answers. The DC that I come from, the Southeast that I come from, we cared about each other. What is going on? 202-715-7400. 202-727-2643. That's the mayor and the 4th District Police. Call them both. Tell your friends. Get our youngsters involved. Sit them down. Let them know. We've got racist people and racist mindsets that are keeping our families down, and enough is enough. How many times must we come before you with these candlelight vigils? We don't want anybody else to lose their sons or bury their sons. We don't want any more loss of life. This is not just a Ward 4 issue. This is a Ward 8 issue. This is a Ward 7. This is a across the ward issue. Guys, this is in my mother's keeper. We're out here in these streets. I love my family over Uncut Live. They're always ready to go live with us to bring these stories. Guys, we need your help. Let's use this social media for good. It is not okay. It is not okay for this mother to not have received a call from the mayor to acknowledge her loss. It is not okay for them to be told for 9 days that they can't get the dash cam or the arresting officer's report, or the officer's report, I should say. It is not okay that they lost their 20-year-old son's life and they're made to fight this issue alone. Where are you, DC? It's cold out here. You don't have to come up here and stand with them as we are, but you can pick that phone up. Leave messages. Call in the morning. Make it your business to help us get this word out. Mental health matters. What is going on with our police force and our officers that they can't see human life before them, that they can't be empathetic? What is going on with this us against them? What about Trump? What about our local families? What about the local racist-minded individuals in charge? What about our black leaders in charge acting as if they shouldn't be responsible or accountable for these families that are losing lives? Use this social media for something positive and help vote out these folks in office that would let our children take these guns and continue to kill themselves, that would stand by and judge them instead of getting them the proper resources, that would watch these officers come in, sign into a shift, and use taxpayer dollars to be a part of the negligent handling of black lives. Guys, Karon Hylton was a 20-year-old young man who has a 3-month-old child, who has a mother and father heart who is breaking. It is breaking. For 9 days, they've been trying to get answers and they've been ignored. It is not okay. When you hear Am I Mother's Keeper say mental health matters, what we're saying to you is that how you treat and care for one another is important. Depression is real. We're in a COVID-19 circumstance, and if we're not in touch with our emotions, if we can't get our young people back to the table to understand, to care about one another, then they're going to keep on pulling those guns. And we're going to keep on having officers think that it's okay because they don't think that we're a civilized people. They don't think that we deserve it. And why should they think that we deserve it when Am I Mother's Keeper are receiving texts from black folks saying to me that these are bastard children, saying to me that the crackheads that gave birth to them, saying all this vile stuff about our own kind. This is ridiculous. We are divided as a city and it needs to stop. Black lives do matter, and it needs not to be a saying or words. It needs to be demonstrated.